Hey there, are you thinking of moving to Mount Juliet, Tennessee? Well, this is the video for you. Mount Juliet is located about 12 miles east of Nashville down I-40, easily accessible to the interstate and to the airport, as you might hear. Mount Juliet is widely known as one of the family-friendliest cities to raise your family in the state. I think it's about number 12 out of 244 cities. So if that's of interest to you, you gotta stick around. In today's show, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Mount Juliet. You know, there's no place that's perfect, and I'm going to tell it like it is. Hey, I'm Susan Thetford. I am a native Nashvilleian, one of the unicorns, because there aren't many of us natives left. I've been here my entire life and raised my children here. I'm also a realtor. On this show, I share all kinds of information about cities, suburbs, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly about living in the Nashville and the Nashville area. Today, I'm showing you a city that is really unique and something that I think you ought to take a look at if you're considering a move to this Middle Tennessee area. Okay, so let's talk about it. One of the major pros about living in Mount Juliet, Tennessee is its location. I think I said 12 miles. It's actually 17 miles from downtown Nashville. It just depends on exactly where you happen to be, but that's a very close proximity. It's just a couple minutes away from the airport. It is down I-40 east toward Knoxville, I guess it would be what everybody knows it as, and it gives you easy access into town and to all the other interstates that you might need, 65, 24, to go north-south or east-west. But this is just barely over the Wilson County, Davidson County line. What does that mean for you? Less taxes than in Davidson County. Wilson County has its own, because it's a municipality, has its own fire station and police department. As you can imagine, a city of about 50,000 people has a whole lot less police activity than downtown Nashville might be, so your response time might be a lot faster. Just all the things that goes with a big city you don't quite have here in Mount Juliet. There, with every pro, there can be a con. I said that it was very close to the airport. It is, but that gives you airline traffic sometimes. I really don't often hear a whole lot of that airline traffic because it seems to be high enough over us, and once you get to Mount Juliet, that it's not a big distraction. When you get closer, maybe into Donaldson or Hermitage, could be more of a distraction for you, but gotta admit it, that is one of the things that is a con about living here in Mount Juliet. Mount Juliet is the fourth fastest growing county in the state. As of 2024, the population actually is right at 45,000. I think I mentioned that before. Mount Juliet has the largest shopping mall between Nashville and Knoxville with Providence. We'll get into that a little bit more later. Now, I mentioned that you can get some airline traffic here very close in Mount Juliet because we're so close to the airport. Further away from the airport is Brentwood and parts of Franklin, and I will tell you that I'm hearing some airline traffic there too. We have a lot of flights going south down to all the places down south that people go, and that seems to be a lot on the circuit as well. So it's not just giving a big diss to Mount Juliet for the airplane traffic. When you get an international airport, you do hear some of that airport traffic. If you want to know more about Brentwood, then check out one of these videos. Let's talk about housing and homes. One of the big reasons that people are looking at Mount Juliet is because it is far more affordable than many areas that you might already know about in Nashville, as opposed to Brentwood, Green Hills, Forest Hills, Oak Hill. Some of the areas that may have a little bit more notoriety are a lot more expensive. In Mount Juliet, you have a good mix of older homes and the new construction because it is still affordable. The land is still more affordable. And we have new construction, large volume builders coming into the area and building because there is so much demand. 77% of the people who live here in Mount Juliet own their homes, 23% rent. The median home price as of August of 2024 is $600,000. So if you're doing any comparisons of, again, Mount Juliet over into some of the other really good school district areas, and people often compare them. We're going to get to that next. When you look at that comparison, you find there are very good schools here in Mount Juliet, but the price of homes is a good 30% and more less expensive. Different layouts, different things, but you know, making that comparison is so hard, apples and apples. When you get here, If this is something you want to take a look at, I can help you with that. Okay, so what's a con to all this affordability? A con is that it's no longer a best kept secret. People do understand that they can get newer homes, about 2/3 of the cost at best of newer homes down in the Williamson County area and some other areas. They can get a good school district. People are flocking to low more and to build. And so with that comes increased traffic, more dogs here at the dog park, more people looking at this area as the great place to live. With that, those are rising prices. Because of the rising prices, you're going to get some of the natives, especially, who lived here in Mount Juliet for the last 10, 15, 20 years, beginning to be a little bit priced out of their homes. When you look at the median price of homes, 2024 versus 2020, you're going to see there's a big increase in homes, and there's still no let up on that demand. So let's talk about schools. School system here in Wilson County is a very big pro. Again, Mount Juliet is in Wilson County. The Wilson County school system is really highly acclaimed. Now, as I always say, be sure to check things out for yourself on greatschools.org. But the Wilson County schools are amongst the top ranking schools. Rutland Elementary, Springdale Elementary. Springdale came in at 51st out of 974 elementary schools compared. Gladeville Middle School came in 19th of 567 schools. Lakeview Elementary, 68 out of 974 schools. So these are top ranking schools. These are well-educated kids, and it is highly acclaimed for giving just that. So when I'm talking about where do you want to live if you have a family and the school system is important to you at affordable pricing, can't be beat here in Wilson County. But Wilson County also has some good private schools, Mount Juliet Christian and Mount Juliet Montessori. Then when you get into the universities, you've got Ball State, Belmont University, Vanderbilt University, David Lipscomb University as the close by Nashville universities. So you don't have to go far. If you want to get a good 2-year accredited education, and there's some good scholarships for that for Nashvillians, Columbia State has some really good programs you might want to check into. If that's something you're considering, be sure to have your children here at least by their junior years, because they need to have been Nashville area residents or Tennessee residents for at least 2 years to get that free tuition. Check into it. So what the heck can be a con about having really highly acclaimed school systems? Well, like everywhere, when you get a lot of people moving into one area, they're going to have to start building more schools because we don't want that overcrowding. We want to keep those grades up. But that's very, very important to the families. It's very important to everyone who lives here in the area. So they're doing a great job of adding more schools as that need arises. You can also actually get, if you happen to live in Lebanon, which is another town over, still in Wilson County and Davidson County. It straddles that line. So if you happen to be very cognizant of needing some good schools, we could still put you into the Wilson County schools by getting into specific areas of Lebanon. And if it's not so important to you, then you can go on over to, in Lebanon still, great little town, in the Davidson County side, and it's going to be a little less expensive. Nuances, guys, nuances. If you're thinking of moving to Nashville, I know these nuances. My team and I work with people every single day who are moving here. We've done it for years, and I really pride myself actually on fitting people with the right person for their needs. I am not the expert in Wilson County, but I've got people on my teams who are. So we work together to fulfill your dreams in finding the right home for you. This is just a good overview. We need to have a conversation. Check out this phone number. Give me a call. Another super big pro about Mount Juliet is its very low unemployment. Lots of professional employment opportunities here in Mount Juliet area. We have a low tax rate, and the median household income has now risen to $109,000. That's a good $10,000 rise in the last 2.5 years. That tells you something about the people moving here. Highly educated, that's important professionals. Some of the major industries that are employing people here are healthcare, retail, education, scientific endeavors, and tech services. Wonderful to be able to live in a community where you work rather than having to drive into Nashville. And you've got great employment opportunities right here in the area. One of the cons I forgot to mention, this area is the only area that has a passenger train that goes into Nashville. Now, it doesn't stop in a lot of places. It goes from one place and it stops in a place in Nashville where you can then go walk across the bridge, drive across the bridge, do carpooling, but get across to where you work. It's the only passenger train that we have here. Lots of fun for people to go into, maybe the football games or soccer games, concerts, that type of thing. Of course, one of the most important things if you're traveling with family especially are concerned with is safety. Crime is definitely below the national average here in Mount Juliet and well below Nashville's average. Niche.com ranks it as number 12 of 244 best places to raise a family in Tennessee. So as I mentioned, this city is 4 decades old as being its own municipality. So what that means is it has its own police department, its own fire departments. So they're not depending on downtown Nashville to get to you for safety and for fire issues. One of the best things about that is one of my part here in the Mount Juliet area, his son has been raised here. He's also now part of the police department. I love that. We have a finger on the pulse of everything that's happening here. So let's get to what I think is the most important thing for families who are considering a new community in which to live. And Wilson County, Mount Juliet, really has this in spades. Things to do. Hey, you want your family to be able to go to school, to recreate, possibly to work in its own community. You get to know the people, you get to know your neighbors, you get to know your friends here at the dog park. You want to be able to have a lot of things to do so you don't go outside of your community. Truly, the only real reason that someone from Mount Juliet would go into town, of course if you work there, but it's for the most part if you're going to football games, if you're going to a Titans game, if you're going to soccer, if you're going to any of the fun things that are to do that are downtown. But for the most part, you're going to be staying here. But what are you going to do here? Let's talk about it. There are over 6,000 acres of outdoor fun here in the Wilson County area. Mount Juliet itself is called Land Between the Lakes. It's between Percy Priest Lake and Old Hickory Lake. With that, you can imagine all the shoreline of places to go fishing, to kayak, to boat, to ski, to do all those things that you want to do, all your water sports. But you've got golf, hiking, camping, picnicking. As far as golf goes, there are 2 major golf courses, the Windtree Golf Club and Pine Creek Golf Club. Now, when you're talking about some of the fun things to do around here, as the Country Music Hall of Fame, of course, is downtown, but you've got Drake Creek Park, you've got the Juro Stables. There aren't that many places close into town where you can actually ride horses that you don't own and board yourself. You got the Wave Country Amusement Park, which is actually a lot of fun. Nashville Shores. We've got our own beaches. Who says we don't have a beach? Nashville Shores, lots of fun to go there too. And the Sportsplex here in Mount Juliet that offers soccer, frisbee golf, softball. At Cedar Creek Sports Center, you've got putt-putt golf, lighted driving range, batting cages for baseball, family go-kart tracks, tennis. We've got several pickleball courts now. You've got everything that you need for all that family outdoor fun. And that's right here in the area. Now, again, like Middle Tennessee, if you want to go to a different state park every single weekend for the entire year, you could do that within a 2-3 hour drive. And that's before you even get over to the Great Smoky Mountains on the east side of Tennessee. Lots to do, outdoor life. But if that outdoor life isn't that great for you, if you are more of a shopper, out to eat kind of person, we got you covered. Providence Marketplace. So maybe you don't have children, or maybe you and your daughter love to shop and you're not big outdoors people, but you love shopping. Providence Marketplace is 103 acres of shopping, retail, boutiques, big box stores, restaurants, Targets, all the things. And I will say, this is one of the cleanest Targets I've ever been in. Restaurants, both chain and family and local restaurants, all of the above. I'll tell you something else. I just had lunch at Panera. Some of their best fall soups. Have you ever had the pumpkin soup? Actually, pumpkin is the major ingredient, but they call it squash soup. And somebody told me that pumpkins are a squash. I don't know if that's true. Is pumpkins a squash? Anyway, they call it squash soup. It is delicious. It's kind of low calorie, so you ought to check it out. That Panera also was the cleanest Panera I think I've been in 2 years. Providence Marketplace has everything that you can possibly want in a shopping area. Something I forgot to mention is Providence is the main huge shopping area that's one of the 3 major exits to get you into Wilson County, Mount Juliet. Now, Providence also is an entire huge residential area with lots and lots and lots of builders and lots of different communities within Providence. So the marketplace is within Providence, that entire area. So one thing you're going to find there, and maybe you want to lock up your home and go. Maybe you happen to be close to my age or more, and you want to do a lock and go in possibly a retirement community, a 55 plus community. They are, I promise you, not retiring community at all. It's beautiful. And I think this is one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen because the trees are mature. It's old enough that everything is mature. The trees are beautiful. The grounds are meticulously kept beautifully. Everything doesn't look the same. It's not one of the situations where everything is cookie cutter and it looks the same. Providence Del Webb community is a beautiful 55 plus community. I've sold several homes there so that people can spend some of the time here and some of the time maybe in another state. Feel perfectly comfortable, and walking trails, beautiful amenities. You need to check it out. If 55 plus community is something that you consider, maybe you raise your family here, and this happens a lot, raise your family here. By the time the children grow and maybe have their own homes or you need to downsize, staying within the area, going over into Providence, and you can stay there forever. It's really pretty. Check it out. Even if you don't like Del Webb communities or a 55 plus community, go ahead and take a look at it if it's even possibly remotely, because I think you'll be highly surprised. So what more can you say about shopping? There is no shopping need that you can't meet right here at Providence Marketplace. That's a promise. Let me give you one or two cons about that. Providence or Wilson County doesn't yet have a Trader Joe's. Especially if you're from the West, you love, love, love Trader Joe's. Here's something good. There's actually even a Facebook page saying, bring Trader Joe's to Wilson County. So maybe they're gonna get one sometime soon. It's actually on the docket for the Planning Commission. So it sounds like it's imminent, but it's not here yet. Wilson County also does not have a Whole Foods. The only Whole Foods you're going to find here in the Middle Tennessee, Nashville area is going to be in Nashville, Green Hills, in Cool Springs, Brentwood, Franklin community, and Trader Joe's. We've got two in Nashville over by White Bridge Road in Green Hills. And there are a couple other ones, but there's nothing here in Wilson County as far as the specialties go. Now, they're also about to get a Sprouts, which you may not know because I don't think it's as widely known, but it's Whole Foods. It's a very good grocery store that I think you'd be pleased with. But yeah, we don't have a Whole Foods here, and I don't think it's likely anytime soon. Another con is opposite side of that growth. Mount Juliet has grown 4% annually since 2021. A good side of that is that the income has also grown 9% since 2021 annually. Is that newcomers coming to the area who are professionals? It really is, but that's what we're getting here. Again, the con is pricing out some of the locals who've been here for a long, long time when it was very inexpensive. Fun fact, when I first got my license back in early '83, I used to work here in the Mount Juliet area. At the time, it was an area called Belinda City. You can still kind of see it. The whole area was called Belinda City, as I say, in the early '80s. If you remember the early '80s, we got into a lot of issues, gas problems and all kinds of issues. And so the development really stopped. I worked here though for years and years with a company called Fox Ridge Homes. It was so strange that the other day I was driving through here on my way to an inspection for one of my customers, and I went through an area that I used to sell in back in the early 80s in Belinda City that was built by Fox Ridge Homes. I recognized all the floor plans. One other con, of course, is that with all that growth, you've got road construction. It does seem as if there's road construction from downtown Nashville coming all the way out 40 past Hermitage to get over here to Wilson County. That's just going to continue. They are building another lane, which is great. They're building another interstate exchange between Hermitage and Mount Juliet, Wilson County. They're building different exchanges to get some of that traffic off the interstate. And as new developments are being built in between these towns. So with that growth does come some construction. It is coming, but the good thing about this is Wilson County is only 40, as I say, about 40 years old as far as its development goes. The good thing about that is the infrastructure is far newer than many, many areas of Middle Tennessee, certainly of East Nashville, certainly much newer than some areas in Brentwood, which was really developed in the 50s. So, there's pros and cons to all of it. It's growing, but here's the biggest con. The biggest con to living in Mount Juliet, Wilson County is the secret's out. It is growing, it is thriving, it is a fabulous place to raise your family, and you need to get here. If Middle Tennessee with your family is something that you are interested in, you need to reach out to me. just like so many of others have done. Here's all the information. Let's talk. In our calls, we get so many people who really want new construction. You don't want to be in the middle of a bunch of homes being constructed, but you also want a new construction home, and they're very difficult to find. Well, here you have an opportunity. There are only 2 homes left in the final phase of this development. Next phases will be much more expensive. 2 homes look like this with the same kind of amenities, also offering you $25,000 for 2 lucky people for a interest rate buy down or a sales price buy down, whichever is your preference. Low 600s, primary on the main level. As you can see, gas appliances, which is often kind of rare in many areas. Gas appliances, 9 and soaring ceilings, great windows, smaller lots. Again, new construction is going to give you smaller lots, but priced in the low 600s, Wilson County, Mount Juliet schools. 2 people are going to make the deal of a century. Reach out to us if this looks like something you'd be interested in.